Paltrocast. Aside from having to do interviews, good day for you so far?
Yeah, stressful. Spinning lots of plates, and writing lots of music, and getting ready to go to a video games awards tomorrow night and conference, which I'm really excited about because I've been nominated for a game for best audio, best music in Immortality, a game that I worked on last year.
Yeah, usually when I interview somebody, they only have a new project to speak about. And since coordinating our interview, I've learned about other projects that you have coming out or about to come out. The latest one that I read about was Green Space Dark Skies, that soundtrack. So are you able to work on three or four things at the same time?
Yeah. I like spinning plates, and I love the variety of projects. I find it quite easy to switch from my headspace from one creative project to another. The nightmare scenario for me would be is if I were working on a few projects that all had a very similar style of music. Like I did a true crime documentary, and I did four of them. I think I can't. I'd start repeating myself. So I don't like to do that. So yeah, the diversity of what I do keeps me fresh and on my toes all the time.
Got it. Now, I have the pleasure of interviewing a lot of composers, and sometimes they're film TV people, sometimes video games, sometimes they're singer-songwriters who occasionally do a film, all different kinds of people. And sometimes I find that the person does every single thing, meaning they play every single instrument and on it. And then there's other people who just kind of go, here's the top line, you orchestrate it, send it back to me. Now, in your case, what are you actually doing besides writing the music? Are you orchestrating? Are you performing most of it?
I don't, well, I mean, at the moment I'm working on a big show which is epic orchestral music, and I've got the privilege of working with some fantastic orchestras in London, Vienna, Budapest, all over Europe.
Mhm.
I compose the music. I use my computer here, as you can see. I don't know what you can see there.
Yeah.
So all my music software, synthesizers, acoustic instruments behind me. So I bring in specialist soloists to perform on the music. I love having musicians here, or if they're abroad or not in London, because I'm based in London,
Mhm.
I'll send off the music and they will perform it and send it back to me. I mean, I play the keyboards and I play a little bit of guitar, and I play, a few I'll pluck and bang and scrape instruments, but I'm not a master of any of them. But with orchestras, I do have an orchestrator. I have several orchestrators that I work with, because there's just not enough time to do that. And I'm not an expert in orchestration. That's quite a unique skilled job in its own right, working with orchestras. But yeah, I love it. I just love diving into different styles of music. So
Mhm.
I'll bring specialist soloists, or I'll mix the music myself. And if I haven't got the time, like on this job, I've only got one rig, one computer rig, whereas I know some other composers, they have assistants and they have
Yeah.
duplicate rigs and computers and so on. So I've only got the one. So I'll either have my score mixer coming to me to help if it's a theatrical film, to come and mix with me, or I'll send off my music to an external score mixer, and then, which is what I'm doing at the moment, and then I'll give feedback and notes, and we sort of work hand in hand together on it.
I know from your background that you excelled in sound design and you have Peter Gabriel on your early credits, and he doesn't just work with anyone. So I'm very impressed because most composers don't have that background in the mixing or the sound design. That makes you very different. Now, I'm curious, growing up, did you play in garage bands or jam with people?
Well, as a young teenager, I used to sing a lot. I had my own band at school, at high school, and I was into musical theatre, and then I was into music from the 80s and the 90s, and I wanted to be in a pop band. And then I kind of realized that I sort of suffer from stage fright.
I don't mean to laugh at that. I find composers are this unique breed where the work is never the issue. It's the socialization that's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I mean, as I used to force myself to go on stage, and I
Yeah.
kind of I loved it. You know, I'm an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert, I don't know how you say it. But
Yeah.
I really wanted to perform, but I realized when I discovered the recording studio that that was my home. I love being behind the scenes. I wanted to be a record producer and an engineer and work with artists and work with other
Mhm.
creative musicians and people, but not be the front person, you know. And so I found my home, and then I discovered film, and I really wanted to go into music engineering. I was very influenced by Peter Gabriel, was a big hero of mine.
Sure.
Daniel Lanois, who's
Yeah.
produced U2 and Bob Dylan and Emmylou Harris and the Neville Brothers and all these
Scott
amazing.
Weiland. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
worked
Yeah.
with Brian Eno. Brian Eno was a big influence on me. So that sort of that circle of amazing engineering and creative and producing talent is something that I really aspired to. And then I discovered film and realized that I really wanted to tell stories. And I discovered the power of music in film and storytelling through music. So that became a big thing for me that I really aspired to. And I discovered film music, and that was it, really.
And the film credits you have are amazing. The video game credits are amazing. And I have to say that because your work on Call of Duty, more people hear that on a daily basis than whatever the number one hit song is. I can't mathematically prove that, but right now at any given time, there's probably 5 million people plus playing Call of Duty right now on all the servers, hearing your music. How do you feel knowing that the people are hearing your music, yet you can go to the grocery store and no one knows that's you? Is that a good feeling?
I think it's so cool, you know. I mean, when I got the job, I kind of had I was introduced to the Call of Duty team and met with the developers. And Call of Duty's been on my radar for so many years as this iconic video game franchise. So to be invited to join the family of incredible composers that have worked on it was so exciting and so I mean, it was such a, I couldn't believe it. It was like a dream for me. And my whole experience of working with the team was nothing but joyful. We had an amazing time. And I worked very closely with the music director on the team and working within the technical parameters and brief that we set ourselves. So I had a lot of creative freedom, but I still felt pressure to follow on and take on board the legacy of the amazing music that's been composed for the game already and see how we could take it one step further and
Mhm.
put my creative stamp on it at the same time.
Mission accomplished right there. And some of the composers I speak with who have success in the film, TV, and video game world, and I'm the one saying that you have had the success, not you. I'm throwing the compliments right here. Some of them kind of go, maybe I should be writing pop music too. I should do the co-writing thing. Is that anything that you have interest in?
Well, actually, I mean, I love, uh, I write instrumental scores most of the time. And every now and again, I get the opportunity to write songs, proper songs with lyrics. And I scored this game, Immortality, last year. And it was an instrumental score, working with the orchestra, and that was an amazing experience. But the brief, one of the things I had to write for the song, for the score, was a '90s pop song, a sort of a hit '90s pop song in
Right.
the style of early Britney Spears or early Madonna, sugar-coated pop, you know. And but Sam, the developer, the director, said, I want it to be a hit pop song, but not so much of a hit that it was like that didn't quite make it. I thought, well, there's a responsibility on my shoulders,
Yeah. Good, but not too good.
yeah. And so So I wrote this song, and it was you can check it out. The score's out. It was using the production techniques of the early '90s and using the synths of the time and the on the drum kit and the beats of the time. And it's called Two of Everything, and it's kind of a spoof. This sort of like Motley Crue kind of this pop song that is good but slightly cheesy and very catchy. And I love writing catchy songs. I love writing. I wrote a song for another film that's coming out on Netflix. It's called The Deepest Breath, and it's about the world of free diving. And I wrote a song for the film that really meant a lot to me. And I actually sang on it. I actually sang the song. But the song didn't end up in the film. So, which was for various reasons, it didn't quite fit. So I was quite heartbroken about that. And then I thought, I know, I'm going to release the soundtrack. I'll put the song on the soundtrack. So, so every now and again, I do get the opportunity to write songs which I really, really relish.
Do we know which label's going to be putting out that soundtrack? Is it Lakeshore? Is it Movie Score Media? Do we know?
You hit the nail on the head. It's Lakeshore.
Lakeshore has this very interesting niche of putting out scores that millions of people watch these shows, yet the average person doesn't go, well, who wrote the music? I want to hear the music. But for the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who are diehards, it's there, and Lakeshore does it. So you
Yeah.
probably had like 8 albums in the last couple of years between Lakeshore and Movie Score Media, right?
Yeah, I know. It's like it wasn't intentional, but and I'm quite selective about the scores that I release. I mean, sometimes I'm not allowed to
Right.
because the streamers just, I mean, I've had, various opportunities where I've projects where I really wanted to release a score, but I couldn't. But I've been very fortunate. Yeah, I mean, like Lakeshore were very supportive. They released the score for 14 Peaks, Nothing Is Impossible, which was good fun. But yeah, I love that. I love it when people can't guess who the composer is, and I don't have a trademark sound as such. I mean, I kind of because every project is different for me.
Right.
I'll dive into and try and create a unique sonic world for every project, because I'm there to serve the story and there to serve the director's vision, and I like to embrace new creative challenges. Yeah.
Well, I've got 2 more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. And the
Yeah.
first one is, I'm obsessed strangely with the band Van Halen. A lot of people listen to my interviews go, you haven't asked a question about Van Halen. So I'm going to try something here related that's not far off from you. Was hair metal or hard rock of the pop vein ever an influence on what you did?
Well, heavy metal, yeah. Well, actually, I was really into Marillion.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I went to two things with my experience with heavy metal. So I went to a Gear Fest conference of music technology, and I saw Marillion performing live. And Fish was like 3 feet away from me, and my mind was blown. I just loved it. I loved their music. And then and then I got invited to see a band. I went to some Womex, this world of sort of music showcase conference where new artists come and do their showcases every 45 minutes. And
Mhm.
I heard this band from Finland, and they were influenced by Balkan brass music, klezmer music, and heavy metal. And I think their name is Alamanyan Vasarat, I think.
Okay.
And they were just unbelievable. This sort of heavy metal, klezmer, jazz, and Balkan brass band that were the best thing I'd ever seen. So yeah, and then going into sort of indie experimental stuff, of course, Nine Inch Nails, and You know, they were a huge influence on me. So yeah, I mean, I love, as a film composer, I can. There's something that I like in. I find something I like in all styles of music.
Mhm. Wow.
Like,
Okay. Great
yeah.
answer. And you've given me, not only am I going to listen to two of everything, but now I'm going to listen to this band from Finland. And my last question for you is, uh, again, film composers are a different breed where they get things done. They adhere to deadlines. They like all kinds of music. They deal with notes well. They're a unique breed from all other kind of musician on the planet, but they're usually home buddies. So my question to you, what's the last concert that you went to for fun?
Actually, I saw I had an overdose about 3 weeks ago. I went to see Hans Zimmer live in
Oh,
concert at the O2. It was, and then a week later, I went to see Peter Gabriel at the, you know, his new album's coming out.
yeah.
I almost went to see Colin Stetson a month ago because but I couldn't make the gig in the end at the last moment. But yeah, and then about 6 weeks ago, I went to see this amazing South African cellist, Abel Salachuo, who's been a huge influence on me over the last year. And he sings and plays the cello, and he combines Western classical music and African traditional folk music at the same time. So and
Wow.
he was playing with an orchestra. So yeah, it's quite varied, kind of the stuff that
You
I.
mentioned Colin Stetson, who I recently had the pleasure of interviewing because he's promoting the menu. And
Yeah.
that's another person who has like 3 albums a year as a result of all the films and all that. So kudos to him, kudos to you, and really looking forward to whatever's coming next from you, whether it's a film score, a supposed to be pop hit, a video game score, whatever it is, keep up all the greatness. And I really am excited to see what's next from you.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely to chat to you, Darren. Thank you for having me.
Paltrocast.